This isn't just a story. This is a recent truth, something that will forever be etched in my memory. It's the moment my sense of security shattered, and I realized that true horror can knock on your door at any time. Fresh out of college in the Midwest, I accepted an appealing job offer from a major bank in Charlotte, North Carolina. The logical next step was to find housing. Just a few days after graduation, my father and I flew to Charlotte. We stayed in a hotel located in an area undergoing a strange transformation. A mix of homeless crackheads and ambitious young professionals. Rundown stores and old ranch houses bordered by newly built townhouses and elegant shopping centers. Despite feeling unsafe at times, I never expected anything serious to happen. The hotel itself was a pleasant surprise. Clean, comfortable, and equipped with everything one might need. While the hallways definitely looked like they were from the back rooms, endless, unsettling corridors, I felt safe within its confines. At least I thought so. My father had to cut our 4-day trip short due to a family emergency. He allowed me to stay in the city for one more day while he took the next flight out to get home as quickly as possible. I was perfectly fine with that. I spent my last day exploring the city and looking for more housing options. When I returned to the hotel that night, I took some time to relax, watching TV, browse YouTube, and listening to music. By midnight, I was pretty exhausted. I turned off the lights, closed the blinds tightly, and flopped down in bed with my AirPods in. I spent the next few minutes listening to music before drifting off to sleep. I woke up at around 3 a.m. The room was enveloped in darkness. I heard something knocking on my door. I could only hear it because the music in my AirPods had stopped as my playlist had reached its end. For a few minutes, I remained in a stupor, unsure of what I was hearing or what was happening. I took out my AirPods, trying to make out the noise coming from the door. Knock, knock. I thought it was room service or hotel management, perhaps just checking on me since my father, who booked the room, was gone. No, that couldn't be right. Who in their right mind would check on someone in the middle of the night? Knock, knock. Maybe it was someone who had locked themselves out of their room and mistaken mine for theirs. But that seemed impossible too. The hotel only had 3 floors. Now, the person was slamming their fist against the door. Fear crept in. I could only hope that this person would get tired and move on after a few more minutes. The pounding continued. Intermittent thumps, then violent knocks, mixed with desperate fumbling at the door handle. Terror consumed me now. Not just because of the persistence of this entity trying to get into my room, but because I heard absolutely nothing else. There was no breathing, despite the heavy slamming. No word spoken. If it was room service, they would have announced themselves. If it was someone who mistook my room for theirs, I would have expected some dialogue. Mom? Dad? Honey? But I heard absolutely nothing but the incessant knocking and pounding on my hotel room door. For nearly an hour, the entity wouldn't stop. Now, I wasn't even sure it was a real person. Any human would have moved on by now. Any human would have spoken some words by now. Any human would have taken a breath by now. I didn't want to make my way towards the door to check who it was, as there was a slit under the door that could allow someone from the other side to notice my presence. Instead, I hid behind the bed, praying to God that this thing wouldn't get into my room, and that someone would stop it. By 4:10 a.m., I had reached my limit. I just wanted to go to bed. I just want to feel safe again. There seemed to be no end to the knocking, or slamming, or fumbling. The entity on the other side never paused. I never had a moment of respite where I thought they would leave or take a few minutes to rest. I wanted it to end, and I thought calling the police would do that. However, I still didn't want to reveal the fact that I was in the room, so I texted 911 that there was someone trying to get into my room. But damn it, the signal couldn't get through. My message wouldn't send, and all I could do was look helplessly at the green bar trying to reach the end as the banging got louder and louder. No matter how much I stared at the message, it wouldn't go. I was at my wit's end, and I gave up on secrecy. I dialed 911, and the dispatcher immediately picked up the phone. She asked so many questions, many of which I couldn't even answer. I didn't know what the entity looked like. I didn't know what it wanted. All I knew was that I was stuck in this Charlotte hotel with someone or something relentlessly knocking and banging at my door. I believe that as soon as I began speaking, the banging got dramatically louder. The entity on the other side was now pounding and pounding, and I could imagine him or her just swinging their entire arm against the door or kicking and kicking relentlessly at it. My voice was shaking and my eyes were watering, but I was still in my right mind and able to confirm my location with the dispatcher so she could send police my way. She ended the call, and the knocking and banging continued for a couple more minutes. But then it fell silent. I just kneeled there, behind the bed, shaking, waiting for both the knocking to return and for the police to come. After maybe 5 minutes of silence, I had the gall to stand up, and I walked towards the blinds, hoping to see police cruisers swerve into the cul-de-sac of the hotel. I waited for 5 more minutes, and the tension slowly dissipated as I saw the police pull up to the hotel. A minute later, I received a knock on the door, accompanied by an actual human voice, Charlotte Police. That was the only knock that night that I was happy to hear. The police told me they'd searched the building and the surrounding area for any suspicious individuals. Unfortunately for both the police and me, there didn't seem to be any security cameras near my room, as I was on the far side of the hotel. To this day, I have no clue who or what was knocking on my door, but I am so glad that it never got what it wanted.